Hi, everyone. Cindy Michael here for Project Rescue. Just to want to talk about grounding a little bit. Grounding is one of those stage one recovery type activities that everyone can learn and that everyone can teach. So, grounding, as we said in Hands That Heal, is a technique that really helps survivors of trauma and of trafficking reestablish connection to the immediate environment when they have been triggered or re traumatized by something that has gone on in the immediate environment. So, a lot of times for survivors of trauma, they can be triggered, what we call triggered, by sights, smells, other kinds of sensory information that when it invades into their life, it takes them back into a memory, something that has happened in the past. And it's like they're disconnected from the current environment. And sometimes they can see it slowly starting to happen. Sometimes it happens very quickly and they're getting very hyper aroused. We've used that language in Hands That Heal, where they're getting more going into the fight mode. Sometimes you can see them start to zone out and disconnect. So, what we want to do if we are there and we're helping them and we're training them is that when they start to recognize that they are starting to go too big, get too hyper aroused, or starting to shut off, we learn to recognize their signs so that we help them learn to more and more recognize their signs so that they can implement some of these stage one recovery techniques throughout their day, throughout their lives, while they're starting to process their trauma. So, grounding is a really cool technique. I've seen it work with a lot of people with trauma, from people who've been in car accidents to people who've been in war, and also with survivors of trafficking. So, I'm going to just talk about a few of those techniques that I have found to be most helpful. First one is the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. And then 5-4-3-2-1, all we do is we stop. And you can see I look like a kind of a bare room, but I have this window behind me. But I'm going to be able to look around my room in 5-4-3-2-1. And I'm noticing right now that maybe I'm feeling a little anxious, but I need to calm down. And one way I can just really connect with my environment is to notice 5 things that I see. I notice paintings on the wall. I notice the plants behind me. I notice the couch that I'm sitting on. I notice a chair in front of me. And I notice a can of soda beside of me. All right, that's 5 things I can see. Now I notice 4 things that I can touch. I can touch the same sofa. I can touch the computer. I can touch my yogurt that I'm trying to eat beside of me. I can touch the table in front of me. There are 3 things that I'm going to listen for. I can hear a clock ticking across the room. I can hear rain falling outside. And I can hear my computer running. 2 things that I can smell. Right now, I can only really smell one, which is my yogurt again. And then one thing that I can taste. And so that I won't eat on camera, I will just pull my can of water and take a swallow. All of those actions are very centering. It connects me back to the environment and it makes me stop and drink something. Drinking something is has a very calming effect on people who are starting to get very hyper aroused. And for people who are starting to get hypo aroused, it kind of brings them and can wake them up. So that's one technique to use with survivors. Another type of grounding are categories. So sometimes when people's thoughts are just trying to run around in circles with anxiety, one of the things we say to do is, like, right now, I want you to create a category of boys' names or girls' names. And it's a way to get their mind to get off the thought of the trauma. And it's just a temporary break from what's going on in their head with their memories, just to give them some space so that they can think through what they need to do next. So it might be, I'm going to make a list of all animals that begin with the letter C: cheetahs, camels, and I'm going to try my best to make my list as long as it can. I may extend that kind of categories game into other mental type games and try to challenge myself and say, now I'm going to count backwards from 100, 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, 95. And if I really want to try to challenge myself, I might do it in my second language or a language that I'm learning. So for me, it would be I'm going to try to do it in Finnish. Since I'm learning Finnish right now, I might say sata. And then I might say, I want to try it, udeksen, udeksentoist. Ooh, see, it's very hard. And so I can't do it. So I have to slow down and think. And now it's slowing me down because I have to think about what I'm going to do. Maybe I could just count forward and finish, like uksi, kaksi, kolme, neljä, and that might slow me down enough. So playing mental games might help. Also, another form of grounding, which is very helpful to so many people because they start to feel, especially the people who disconnect and get do what we call this dissociation, will feel disconnected from their own physical bodies. So we can do something called physical grounding. That can be like squeezing your hands together, taking your feet and really pressing them into the floor, or like you can hear me stomping my feet into the floor. Sometimes just stopping and doing that motion, breathing, deep breath while I'm pressing my hands together and my feet into the floor can be really, really like I can feel my body. My body feels real. And for people who dissociate and feel that disconnection, this helps them feel real. They feel real and connected to themselves. And that we really want that for our survivors. We want them to feel connected to themselves so that they can feel connected to the environment, so that they can look around when they're in these having these trauma reminders and realize there's a person, there's a caregiver that's near me that wants to help me, that wants to socially connect with me, who is safe. And that is where our healing, we've talked about it, in other places in Hands That Heal, that's where our healing is going to start to come from, is in connection with learning to be connected back to ourselves, to connected to others, and connected to God. So I want you to be able to try some of these grounding techniques. Look in the Seeking Safety manual. It's got some, if you can get that online. I also put another link in there to some therapy aid. That link that's in your text takes you to a sheet that has all the things that I mentioned today. So take a look at those and see which ones you think you can implement and try out. All right, have a great day.